Hello, my name is Ben. I'd like to start a conversation about pre-awakening, awakening, and post-awakening. I feel like I'm close to awakening. Kingdom heaven is at hand. So yes, I guess I'd be pegging myself into the pre-awakening category. But it feels close. And I wanted to start to share what this is like. This really is for everyone. It's really the primary education, really. As Jesus said, also, seek first the kingdom of God. This is really, for me, the first thing you need to know. Your first priority is awakening. And then, your other goals, the other things that you're here to do, fall into place, at least more readily. I want to hear from other people, about what are your latest shifts, latest breakthroughs, where you're at on the journey, what's working for you. I think it's important to discuss what's working for us. Things like curiosity and loving yourself, being nice to yourself. I don't have a whole lot of patience for, it's not really the right expression, teachers that just say how wonderful, basically, the perspective of non-duality is. I think we all know how essentially wonderful that is. And also, you don't exist there. In fact, nothing exists there. So why are we talking about it over and over? It's nice poetry, but 600 pages of poetry. Maybe it's just so that we'll finally hear it, or it'll finally sink in, or it'll strike a chord, or something will finally resonate, which is great. It's beautiful. But I'm more into, I suppose, a balanced approach. I think you definitely need that non-dual perspective. Like, what is this really? I've been on a spiritual path for about 45 years. But I'm a bit of a psychic blockhead, I suppose. I could easily name this channel Awakening for Blockheads, because that's really what it's about. It wasn't until I heard the non-dual message. I did Course in Miracles a couple times, I don't even know what, 10, 15 years ago, maybe 10, 12. I didn't hear non-duality, or didn't mean anything to me, until I heard the non-dual message about a year ago. Very, I suppose, more accurately be like the Advaita message of just like, from Rupert Spira, I suppose, and just a very rational, logical, maybe not rational, but logical approach. Who's aware right now? what's aware right now? Who are you? And then, to me, it wasn't really a surprise who I am. I've always kind of known that. So when I looked and saw that my awareness is not personal in any way, I wasn't surprised. So I've kind of always known who I am. My problem, my blockheadedness, is that I don't know who I'm not. So it's like, I've always been a person of extremes, I suppose. Being kind of two people at once. So getting into extremes, addictions, and then sort of some kind of bad, beating myself up, punishing myself. Like literally like two people, like one punishing the other. So that's a requirement. To me, my path didn't really start until it's like, oh, right. So, right, that's what it's about. Focus. Everything came into, it's like the cameraman's focused. It's like that's non-duality, belongs to everyone. It's our birthright. And then everything else sort of starts, and then everything else fits kind of into that. I had done for a long, long time, I had done, I think what a lot of people do, which is sort of sit in a chair meditating. Some of us are in chairs. You sit, meditate, basically perfecting yourself in some way. It's the philosopher's stone, or I suppose the alchemists, where with the right crucible, the right pressure, the right heat, you can forge a diamond, you can turn lead into gold, taking the personal self and somehow cleansing it and purifying it and raising it up. Perhaps it has some kind of breakthrough, which is just silly. Personal self doesn't go anywhere, doesn't become enlightened. For the record, I never cared about enlightenment. Don't really care about non-duality that much. It's a required knowingness, but really you end up non-dual no matter what you do. You already are non-dual no matter what you do. You don't really have to worry about it ever or try to figure out how to do it or any of that stuff. For me, it's just about getting out of your own way. Letting go of the personal. It's really waking up from that dream. Waking up from the dream of, the man-made dream, the man-made self, the fabricated self. This is a grand experiment we're in. The game here is freedom. This universe is an answer to the question, Can I have my individual freedom? Can there be individual freedom? I suppose the first question is the accurate one. Can I have individual freedom? So it's a loaded question. So first of all, you have to have the I. How do I get an I? How do we create an I and let it be completely free? Well, as it turns out, you can only do that by pretending that it's an I and by pretending that it's free. So it has to be asleep. It has to be dreaming. I'm into the kind of the three bodies, five koshas, a bit introduced mostly by David Bingham in these circles. Because to me, I've always seen that the unspeakable, infinity has to step down, right? You don't just go infinity, boom, human being made of blood and cells and that kind of thing. It's just like there's in between step downs, you know. There's many transformers, really many levels of asleepness. So every level is a level of asleepness, or a filter, if you will, a filter that steps the infinite down into, you know, what we're mostly aware of here, objects. So this, you know, honestly, is a level of sleepness. I mean, I like the five koshas because it's taught by David Bingham and his community. Amanda Tweed and Julie Cloutier, and probably others, that the first awakening and that important awakening is awakening to the body of wisdom, from the mental body to the body of wisdom. For me, the mental filter is hell. It's just pure hell. I've never really found any enjoyment in anything. Well, not true. I've never found any lasting enjoyment in anything. I have found the most enjoyment in improvisation over the last 30 years. That's like the thing that just I have to do. I've had to do. But that's about spontaneity and self-expression, and you know, honoring everybody around you, building a reality together. So it's a fun way to it's a fun sort of parallel to kind of what life is for most of us, and also toward the end of the spectrum, where we have more of the positive energies, closer to God, I would say, closer to our true nature. To me, there's only one problem in the universe, and that's identification. you don't identify with anything, there's no problem. It's never been a problem. It's never will be a problem. The game here is what happens when you take it personally. I guess that would be an extension of the game here. The extension of having an I. So having an I is this, amazingly original idea, I suppose, in infinity. And the next amazing idea would be like, what if I have an I, and then what if I wrap my I up and I confuse it with, self-created objects. And also other objects, any other objects. It's a really interesting thing. It's a really really interesting, and that to me, that's the sticky thing. That's the tar baby. The tar baby of life is identification. We get so tied up. Well, I mean, it's you. It's you. Like, it's one thing to remember who you are. It's another thing to go to see, to start to see, and go through the list, kind of like, oh, I also think I'm this. I also identify as being that. And I also identify as being that. And I also identify as being this. And I also identify as being that. I mean, there's just, personally, right now, I'm looking at almost 24 things that I take to be me, or have taken to be me. There's the one that's, and some of these are like sort of positive. It's like, but they're still phony, really. One of them for me is like the honorable one, the chivalrous, honorable, helpful, and why would you want to get rid of that? Like, it's the one that will fight for your honor. And so, identities can be so compelling. Like, I mean, this is the game. This is the rub. Like, as an addictive sort of personality, I mean, this is the biggest addiction of all. The addiction to self. The addiction to, different selves, There's another self that sort of wraps them all together, like, oh yeah, this is us. But really, for me, they stand separate as well. Like, there's this, the honorable one, and the betrayed one, and the one who wasn't listened to. I mean, there's all these different selves. They all deserve to exist until they've had their way and they've had their day. They've been done right by. Turns out identification is optional. I mean, I could sum up my teaching, I suppose you would say. Course in Miracles says, you're always teaching. Everyone's a teacher. You're always teaching. What's your message? I would like my message to be identification is optional. Right? There's nothing wrong with individuality. Everything you see and everything you possibly experience is a manifestation of the divine. identification is a great game. It's a great test. And it doesn't mean anything. And so it's optional. You know, maybe there's a way. I've always had this fantasy that, you know, I could start a school for kids, like instead of just being indoctrinated into our culture, you know, where basically it's like a sci-fi. It's like sci-fi. It's like, you know, it's like a Doctor Who, like you know, kids on an assembly line. Here's the machinery of the ego, you know, and you just like, you know, like Darth Vader's helmet, just it gets plastered onto your head. I mean, yeah. The best learning is experiential, for sure. You know, maybe the only real learning is experiential. But I still have always felt that there was better communicating we could do to, like, you know, welcome to life. Here's your options. Doesn't have to be, you know, we're not interested in turning into a robot that's high producing, that helps the only thing that really matters, which is, you know, economic growth. Yeah, here are your options. Like, you know, at least a warning. That way, when you hit like, you know, early education. So that way, when you hit like whatever, young adulthood, you're like, oh, that's what that was. And you don't have to go, you know, waiting, you know, 50 years or whatever to stumble onto your, you know, what works, what the truth is, what the core of this is, what the core of us is. Then again, you hear it when you're ready, I suppose. You don't hear it until you're ready. I remember I had a close friend. She goes, you know, I don't know what it was, 15, 20 years ago. She's like, oh, I've got an extra copy of A Course in Miracles. How would you like me to give you that copy? And I said straight out, I don't think I'm ready for it. I didn't even know what it was. I had no idea what it was. But part of me knew that, like, we're not doing that. I'm sure it was one of those cells. One of those cells in there. No, one of those cells had complete certainty. Not doing that, baby. No way. Certainty is cool. Hence the loving yourself and being nice to yourself. I didn't have enough of those. I've never had enough of those. I've never had enough being kind to myself to probably progress faster. If that's not really the right expression, but something in there, something about me more graceful, or allowing it to be, you know, more now, instead of postponing it or putting it off. hence, why I really recommend the balanced approach. Like, just really go at your pace. Go at a comfortable pace. This is all good news. This is all good news. The fabricated self is going to take this the wrong way. and it's a dream. And this has its own reality. It runs without your identification. So I guess that's really sort of my goal, is I'm not worried about non-dual. That's just who you are, where you end up, no matter in any way. It's living the happy dream. It's the getting out of personal suffering so you can have it all. Again, the five koshas are kind of provide an anchor here of that. From the body of wisdom filter, you have that sense you are beingness. You experience beingness. And yet you understand the mental filter and the filters below. As the Course in Miracles says, God takes the last step anyway. You just get close. Just get yourself in the ballroom. You'll be led home from there. I get that the uncompromising non-dual message is a tactic, and a valuable tactic, for some people. Some people need to be shocked or scared, nudged over the line, bumped over the line, nudged firmly over the line, or maybe want to be. Maybe they need that strong reality check. Some of us don't. Some of us are lightweights. I've always been a lightweight. Had a lot of addictions, but nothing. Nothing that like illegal or where I could overdose and kill myself, kind of thing. So for lightweights like me, highly sensitive people, or those that have just had enough, hard knocks, and you're just ready for, a gentle approach. Non-competitive, helpful, supporting your partner. One of the best lessons from improv, support your partner. Everything is better when you make your partner look good. And then it feeds on itself. You feed on each other. And everyone's better for it. Let me know what you think.